This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Okay, first off, tell me your name and how old you are.
I'm Daniel Mason and I'm 9 years old.
And tell us about your costume here.
I am Baron Samadi and I'm the God of Voodoo.
It's quite impressive, and it's the kind of thing, actually, if you were flying a plane in the 1920s, you'd be perfect in, especially if you're flying a plane at night. And you get to push the plunger on the Stanford Christmas Festival to turn on the lights. How does that feel?
It feels good. I didn't think I was going to win.
So how about your costume? Did that take a long time to put together?
No, I just chucked on some of my clothes and my mum did my makeup, and that's pretty much it.
Fabulous, well done. See you on the 24th.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Yes, the appeal started the other day formally. The boxes have been out for the best part of a week now in various places around the town. Shops, offices, people's houses, and the door-to-door collection will be starting very soon, if indeed it hasn't already started. And hopefully we'll have another good year. But of course, as you appreciate, there's no way we're going to match what we did last year, it being the centenary of the armistice and so on.
And the Poppy Project, over £20,000 alone made by the selling of those clay poppies, which was just amazing.
That was astonishing. And the overall income for the Poppy Appeal for just the Oakham branch last year was just short of £50,000, which puts us up in terms of per head of population, one of the top branches in the country. And enormous thanks for that huge total must go to the Poppy Project, because that made, as you just said, over 22,000 for the overall thing. So we're delighted. And we're determined not to be dismayed, because clearly there's no way we're going to be able to match that in 2019. But we'll try.
Just tell us some of the things which you do locally.
Well, the most important thing this year in terms of a single event will be the Rutland Concert Band's concert in All Saints Church on the evening of the 9th of November. The concert band and the Rutland Choral Society will be performing a concert of seasonally appropriate music in All Saints Church, 7:30 on Saturday the 9th of November. And tickets are widely available, but if you're on the high street you can get one from Oakham Wines, £5, and literally all of that, again, goes to the Poppy Appeal.
And how far does the Oakham branch stretch?
Well, it certainly doesn't cover all of Rutland, which is something a lot of people wrongly assume. We're literally the town and just beyond. So our boxes go no further really than Market Overton, Cottesmore, out as far as Whissendine, Braunston. Certainly not as far as Uppingham, because they have their own arrangements in Uppingham. Empingham have their own arrangements, for example. So it's very, very Oakham, not Rutland as a whole.
And there'll be collections in all the main parts of our town as well, David?
Yes, leading all of that is Mrs. Gwyn Andrews, who's our Poppy Appeal organiser, and she's liaised with a number of the local supermarkets, and we will having collections and sales of British Legion memorabilia and so on in the entrance to Tesco's and the Co-op. And of course the big Poppy stall will be in the marketplace on the Saturday before Remembrance Day on the 9th of November.
And the following afternoon, Remembrance Sunday, is the big parade in Oakham.
Yes, unusually for us, we have our major parade and laying of wreaths at the War Memorial on the afternoon of Remembrance Day. That takes place at 2:30, the service in All Saints. Immediately prior to that, there'll be the military and reserve contingents marching to the church, and then there'll be a march past after the service when the Lord Lieutenant will take the salute on behalf of the town and the county.
And although there's a number of invited guests, if people would particularly like to be part of the service, they are very welcome.
Very, very welcome indeed. Obviously the church has limited capacity, but it's quite a big limit, and I don't think anybody would be turned away.
Rutland Radio.
Hello, it's Rob from Rutland Radio. How are you?
Hey, yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, yes, absolutely. So you're the captain of the whole team. How amazing is that?
I am truly honoured. I'm proud to be given that opportunity and looking forward to an exciting year ahead.
And how were the trials for you when you did them?
They were amazing. It was like best trials I've seen, best trials I've been part of, and I think we've inspired a nation. I think we just got more people involved, more people who were aware of the games itself. And yeah, it was just another great experience being involved in.
I've forgotten how many famous people you've met along the way. Shaking hands with David Beckham. You've been in the company of Prince Harry as well, although I've not seen the photo for that, but I know you have.
Yep, I gave him a good hug today. We had a couple of hugs, we had a laugh, and with a little private chat as well. So, yeah, ticking a box.
Today you did that?
Yeah.
Wow. Is he looking well? Is he looking as though fatherhood is crippling him, or is he all right?
He looked absolutely fine. He did arrive a little bit late, probably London traffic, but absolutely fine. Yep, fresh as anything.
So where are you speaking to us from then?
I'm actually at King's Cross.
So you've been literally to HQ and had this all announced?
Yeah. It was at the Honorary Artillery Company, HAC. That was where the sort of big announcement was this morning. And then we had like a team brunch, a few speeches, and then we sort of finished about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, once media was all done.
And what's the role as captain? Do you have certain things you have to do? Obviously, you know, you're leading the team. Are you going to be flag bearer? Do you motivate the team and give them tips and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm there to obviously advise and encourage and motivate the team. And any issues, people can just come to me and I can help them out with anything. And I'm also a liaison between the main team staff and the competitors, just so they don't all go to the same one person. You know, they can filter to me and then I can speak to the staff if there's anything, issues that need to be sorted. But no, just to make sure that they're all enjoying themselves and working towards their own goals and they're not forgetting why they've signed up and why they want to continue in this journey. And yeah, I'm very honoured to be in that role, very honoured.
And what about your own competition, actually, when you go for 2020?
Yep, so I'll be competing in swimming and indoor rowing again, the same as last year. And I'm also doing athletic field, so discus and shot put on my new sports.
And when does this all happen and where?
So it's May 2020, the 9th to the 16th in The Hague, which is the Netherlands.
So you've got, 6 or 7 months before you're actually doing all this. How are you going to sleep between now and then? How exciting.
I don't know if I'll get much sleep tonight. I've got to go back to work tomorrow morning. I'm very busy. Obviously, I've got my own training camps, and I want to make sure the team are going in the right direction. And blink, and we will be there. It's going to fly past.
And not only are you leading the Invictus Games, but you're from Rutland and you're leading the Invictus Games, which makes us especially proud. So well done.
Thanks very much.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
My name's Richard Hollis. I'm a crew manager at Oakham Fire Station.
And Halloween today, you've got loads of things going on, including a chance for people actually to win some prizes later. Tell us a little bit about that first off.
Yeah, that's right. We're running a competition, the Heads of Horror, which is a pumpkin carving contest here at Oakham Fire Station. To enter, what you need to do is carve a pumpkin and bring it to the fire station before 6 o'clock this evening. It's a £1 entry fee, raising money for the Firefighters Charity, but there's some great prizes to be won. These are a full day of bike hire for a family, 2 adults and 2 children at Rutland Cycling. The second prize is a family ticket to the Rutland Lions Firework and Fun Fair on the 2nd of November. And for the third prize, we've got a selection of sweets and chocolates that we'd like to give out. We just want people to be creative with their designs, and we'll be offering prizes for people that have done the best designs.
So 3 o'clock this afternoon, entries are able to be brought to the fire station. 6 o'clock, the judging, and then the prizes will be awarded from there.
That's right, yeah. 6 o'clock is the sort of last call for people to come in, and then we'll go through it, judge everything, and then we'll announce the winners by 7:30 this evening.
Tell us as well about safety around Halloween, because traditionally people have carved pumpkins, they've put little tea-light candles in. There are alternatives to that which you'd recommend.
Yes, now through the Community Safety Partnership, we have got some battery tea lights, obviously much safer than the normal candles. They're here available at the fire station. Just come down with your pumpkins and we can provide them for you.
And I know lots of places do sell them now, and they're not very expensive, and they actually work really well, in a way better than the traditional candles.
Yeah, they do work well, and obviously the main thing is safety. Accidents can happen. It doesn't take much for a pumpkin to be knocked over, or a tea light anyway to be knocked over, anything like that, and they can cause obviously serious damage. So it's better off to use the battery ones if you can.
Rutland Radio.
So, new venue for the Rutland ploughing match this year.
Yes, we're at Racecourse Road, Easton on the Hill. We try and move most years. It just so happens that the last 2 years we were very kindly offered the same site back. So we took it. But no, it'll be a good site down Racecourse Road. We're looking forward to that.
And it literally runs for a few hours, various different competitions from vintage to modern ploughing.
Yeah, people start ploughing at 9:30 till 1:30, I think it is. And yes, we've got everything from horses coming to vintage tractors with mounted ploughs, trailed ploughs, right up to the modern day equipment. And we've got a pair of steam ploughing engines there as well, coming to plough a bit. So they always draw a nice crowd, which is rather good. It's always a bit of a spectacle to see those.
And we're talking prize money or trophies or both?
There is prize for ploughman. It's not a fortune, but it's a token gesture, if you see what I mean. And yes, and there is a bit of silverware as well. So every class has its own trophy, which have been kindly donated by various sponsors and whatnot. And some of them we've had in the plough match for a long time. There's one trophy that's possibly getting on for 100 years old.
And that's the same ploughing match that's, the Rutland ploughing match. That's been that history.
Yes. We did actually put a bit of effort into tracing the history of the ploughing match about 3 years ago, I believe it was now. And I can't just remember off the top of my head where we got back to, but early 1800s anyway, that we managed to trace it back to. So yes, it's a bit of local history, I suppose, as well.
And you welcome spectators. It's absolutely free for people to go along. Don't expect a tarmac car park. I suppose you'd say that about it.
No, but we have got somewhere. We've got a nice grassy bit for people to park on this time, which will be dry. So that should be fine. And yes, we're hoping for a dry day, of course. But who knows? Fingers crossed.
I can't guarantee it. Looking at what I can see, but it'll be interesting.
Yes.
And it's not going to be ridiculously wet anyway.
No, and I went to a site last Sunday to mark out, and it was good, and that was after we'd had a lot of rain on the previous day, on the Saturday, and indeed the Friday afternoon before. So no, I'm pretty confident that we're going to be okay, really, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's reassuring to know. Indeed.
Yeah.
And are we talking competitors from across the region?
Across the region and further afield, really. We've got people that would travel up from Norfolk, or across from Norfolk, should I say. We've got various people that come up from Kent, believe it or not, and, as far north as places like Doncaster and, further north still, possibly. So people do travel for the job. Yes, they do. And it's because we're on a bit of a circuit of local matches, I suppose. You get a following of people that will follow matches around the around the country, really. So we've got a good draw.
And like some people do with pub quizzes, and they go from one to another and win every one. Do you get serial ploughing contestants as well?
You do, yes, you do. And it's interesting, really, because when the entries start to come in, you can start to see where the prizes are going to go. It is interesting, yes. So there are sort of various known good ploughmen, which, and quite rightly so, they put in a lot of time, and it is a big skill, and, they do well to do what they do. So, credit to them, really.
And have we had local winners in the recent past?
Yes, our local guys always do very well, really, we've got some good ploughmen locally, certainly, yeah.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Hey Rob, so I'm at the Lodge Trust, I'm at the November sale. It's very busy here already, and I'm with Dave, who's the gardener here. Hi Dave.
Hi.
And lots of beautiful plants. They look so gorgeous and healthy. Fuchsias here, and I can see some lovely hyacinths in baskets ready for Christmas gifts, I assume.
They are indeed, yes.
Did you do those?
Well, we bought the bulbs in, and then the residents plant them up, put them in the baskets with the soil, and then we got some moss to decorate the top.
It looks absolutely lovely, and we're all undercover here, so if you do want to come along and have a look, it's nice and dry.
Rutland Radio.
So I'm with Lydia, the Support Development Officer here at the Lodge Trust. What's today all about, Lydia?
Today is all about selling the wonderful products that our service users with learning disabilities have worked really hard all year to produce for you. Christmas gifts, handmade gifts, crafts, woodwork, you name it, we've got it.
And it's nice and busy here. I mean, considering it's raining and a bit miserable outside, it's thriving in here, isn't it?
It is. We've got faithful supporters that will come out no matter what the weather to see our wonderful things. So, yeah, the rain can't stop us.
And what time is it until today?
It's until 3 o'clock this afternoon, so plenty of time to come on down and get your Christmas gift.
And lots of yummy cake over there, I see.
Yeah, cakes, homemade jams, we've got refreshments, we've got ploughmans on offer, all sorts today.
Lovely.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Sue Fletcher, Volunteer Services Team Lead.
And the Evergreen Care Trust Christmas Cracker is back for a third year, and this is basically throughout December firms backing you, giving away amazing prizes, and they really are quite amazing, cracking prizes, you might say.
Well done.
Thank you. Thought I'd throw that in. But yes, I mean, tell us broadly the whole thing and how it works.
We have got 22 local businesses that are sponsoring and donating prizes to our Stanford Christmas Cracker. They have been incredibly generous, and they're so giving. It's lovely. You make a phone call and it's oh, of course we'll donate to the Evergreen. So it's been wonderful trying to actually gather all these prizes together. And the prizes, as I say, we've got 25 prizes. So each day through December there is a prize. And the prizes are ranging from £40 up to, one of the prizes is worth £950. So it's a high profile Christmas Cracker event. The tickets are £5 each. They can be bought in Sowden and Wallace, Cell Regeneration in Timwell, Rhino's Gym. They're holding some of the tickets as well. And they can also be purchased online. So that's www.evergreencare.org.uk. And as soon as you go onto our website, right at the top, you'll see a great big Christmas cracker. Click on that, enter your PayPal details, and you can purchase as many tickets as you would like. Fantastic campaign, and again, our thanks go out to all of the businesses who have so kindly got behind the Evergreen Care Trust and given us these prizes.
So, what's the timescale? They're on sale now, and
yes,
presumably there will be a cut-off sometime before the 1st of December that you have to get your ticket bought by, or tickets.
Yes, so the tickets will be they're on sale now. They've been on sale for about 3 weeks, I think it is, and the final date for sale will be the end of November, because obviously 1st of December we'll start pulling tickets, and the winning people will be announced on Rutland Radio.
And I know you're doing it on social media as well. You always do the draw, don't you, on social media with Sowden Wallace team?
Yes, we're advertising all of the events and all of the businesses that have so kindly donated. All of that information is going on our website on a daily basis, and it's also going on our Facebook account as well. Just to say thank you very much to these businesses.
So you must have actually made a decent amount of money for the trust actually through doing this as well. £5 a ticket. And loads of tickets sold over the last couple of years, and I'm sure you hope to do that again. Do you have any idea what sort of, how much of a difference this makes?
Well, I'm not sure how much we've made in previous years, because this is my first year of doing this, but this is the Trust's major fundraising event for the year. So obviously we need to make as much money as we possibly can. And then this year, the difference this is going to make, because all of the funds raised are going to help continue our vital, free of charge, volunteer-led services, which is what the Trust is all about. So this is the money that we can raise so that we continue to bring in new volunteers and support the existing volunteers and the wonderful work they do to the people within Stamford and the Deepings and Bourne and all of the surrounding villages, all those hundreds of people that we can just go out there and make a difference to their lives by giving them these, as I say, vital services free of charge. So it's not like if you have somebody who is who pays for something, it's different when you receive something free of charge, because you'll know that that person is doing it because they actually care, and that's what makes all the difference, and that's why we're here in the Evergreen Care Trust, because we care.
And all sorts of things, from befriending that we've heard about to advocacy to support, really, I suppose more primarily for older, more isolated people, but I know you do support people of all ages.
Yeah, definitely. There's a gentleman that we've been supporting for about a year now, and he's in his mid-50s. So that gentleman has received advocacy support. He received Clean Team, and we're still supporting him through advocacy. So yes, so it's vulnerable and it's elderly. So primarily it's elderly, but yes, anybody that has a need will come to us. If we can possibly help them, then we will do, with the help of our trusty volunteers, of course.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
So Alan Duncan, Rutland and Melton MP. The last time we're going to actually be able to address you as that on Rutland Radio.
I know, I'm going to lose 2 letters after my name after 27 and a half years. But I've decided to stand down because, I've had a very good run. And part of the judgment of politics is to look at what might follow and, do I, at the age of 62, want to spend another 5 years, because it could be 5 years in Parliament, or is it better just to, as it were, quit while I'm ahead and let a new, probably younger person be this year what I was perhaps 30 years ago.
And what was it that actually inspired you to become an MP in the first place?
I sort of got the bug when I was about 11. I mean, I remember the first election in my mind was 1964, Alec Douglas-Hume. I really got to understand all the issues in my last year at prep school when it was Ted Heath versus Harold Wilson. And then I really got stuck in the 1979 election when Thatcher got elected. But, at Oxford, I'd always wanted to be a politician. I made some money first. I always think it's better that you've done something before you get into politics, rather than just be a professional politician who doesn't know very much. And I'm now going to go back into business, I think.
And you've been increasingly critical of politics and the Conservative Party. Do you fear for the future of the House?
I'm not so much critical of, my own party, but I think Parliament has become dangerously dysfunctional. I think politics has become ruder and coarser and, more PR and social media related rather than focused on the real meaning of policies and implementing them. So, yeah, it is absolutely true to say I've become a little bit dispirited by the process. And, I like big speeches and argument and proper sort of combat across the floor of the House, not social media nastiness. And I don't think I was really born for the politics of the social media age.
Let's talk Brexit. And
must you?
We must, yes. Is Boris Johnson's deal that different to Theresa May's? And do you think it's actually got a chance in its final few days of actually being approved by the House and obviously approved by Europe ultimately?
I think probably the number of MPs have actually read it. You can count on the fingers of my 2 hands. I mean, the fact is, though, it is a deal. And it honours the decision of the referendum in a way that will allow an orderly exit and transition rather than a cliff edge. So, in my own mind, I was just thinking, I don't give a damn what's in it. We just got to get on with it. We have had, over the last 3 years, the most poisoning and corrosive conflict between direct democracy and representative democracy. Direct democracy is supposedly, the voice of the people, but it empowers one side in Parliament and silences the other. It fixes the decision in a moment of time, whereas Parliament has to look at all of the unfolding events and details which emerge. And this conflict has to be resolved, and that means this election, I hope, will end up with a clear majority. Obviously, I hope for Boris Johnson and the Conservatives, so that we can actually govern again and get out of this deadlock.
Your work in the Foreign Office with Donald Trump as US President and also Russia becoming more of a player on the world stage once again. Do you think actually things are becoming a little bit more dangerous? They had a kind of difficult time in the 80s. Do you think that's on its way back?
Yeah, I mean, you can add China to that mix and the behaviour of India. And so if you put in the pot as well, continuing instability in the Middle East and North Africa, you have a growing, increasingly dangerous world. It's unstable, it's volatile. And that's why I've always thought that, foreign policy is such an important part of our politics, and it needs experience and British confidence. and a strong economy to underpin it in order to give us, the muscle in the world to make sure our opinions are listened to. So I suppose if I were to point to one thing that has particularly upset me over the last few years, it is our loss of clarity and distinction in our foreign policy.
And your time in office as constituency MP, as also your ministerial roles that you've held as well, do you think you have a legacy that you can leave? I mean, for instance, you were the first openly gay MP to actually say, this is who I am, and others have followed. You opened that door, for instance.
Yes, I mean, I'd like to think that I've contributed, to the collective value of Parliament and politics in general. I mean, I've spent 27 years in Parliament, 20 years on the front bench in opposition and government, 7 shadow cabinet jobs, 7 years as a minister, 2 years on the Intelligence Committee, and I'm still full of beans.
And as local MP for here, over the last couple of years, does seem as though you've had to spend a lot of time abroad. Do you think actually you've been able to address local concerns as effectively as you were previous to that?
Yes, most definitely, because, I think one has to accept that in our politics, ministers are drawn from MPs. So if you are in international development or foreign affairs, as I was, you have to travel a lot. And the constituency has been fantastic in understanding that. But I've had a really, really brilliant staff in London and Melton. And, let me give you an example of how being an MP who's also busy can deliver the constituency. I today can say that my parting gift is the announcement just 1 hour ago that the Housing Infrastructure Fund bid we were aiming for has been announced. And this means that the government will pay for the infrastructure of the roads and the sewage and things around St George's Barracks, which means the barracks can be developed with the need for fewer houses, because you don't need millions of houses to pay for the roads and things, because the government's just given us a pot of money to pay for it. So there is an example, I hope, of me as an MP delivering locally for local people, and I'm delighted that in pretty well my last day as an MP, I can say that.
You mentioned St George's Barracks. There's a shiver that goes down so many spines when people actually hear about that, and the creation of a garden village, whether it ends up being at St George's, whether it ends up being at Walfox, and people are very cautious about development around here because of its traditional nature, its rural roads, and the amount of people that are around here. Is there something you can say to reassure them that it'll be okay?
Look, I think it will be, given where we are. I mean, I share their view, and I've been robust in fighting inappropriate development. The rural nature of Rutland is unique. I don't particularly like the policy which says that just because it's a former army base, it should automatically be available for development. But the government says, it's a brownfield site. But then, of course, the whole idea of these requisitioned airfields and things is that they would afterwards be returned in their former condition to their former owner. Well, 75 years on, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But I think the other great thing that we've secured in my deal with the MOD, working very well with Rutland County Council, is that the County Council will be in charge of the design criteria. So this means that you won't get, thousands of little boxes which don't look anything like any other house in Rutland. We can say a lot of it has to be in stone, it can only be so high, it can be higgledy-piggledy, you can have roads, not cul-de-sacs, you can do all sorts of things. And that will be controlled by the council. So we will be masters of our own destiny. We will not be the victims of random planning applications.
And Rutland and Melton, as an area, you've been instrumental in talking to the government for years and years to try and get more government funding for the area so that council tax, particularly in Rutland, doesn't have to be as high as it is. We still have a higher than average council tax. Maybe it's not quite the number one that it was, but we still have those challenges here. Do you see that fight as continuing with your successor?
Yes, I think it has to continue. I don't want to tell my successor what to do, but if he asks for a little bit of guidance, I'll help him. Look, I think we've been very successful over the years in getting one-off grants of money. I think I got the money for the bypass, without which we would not, even now, have an Oakham bypass, and I think that has been a great success. Part of my legacy, I'd like to think. As of today, the infrastructure funding for this massively controversial and big-scale project at St George's Barracks at Edith Weston, where I think we have lost out, and it's Leicestershire in general, actually, in addition to Rutland, is that we get less funding per person than many other counties, which means our education funding is less and our council taxes are higher. And the government is pledged, actually, to try and even that out. And even though Rutland is a very efficient, albeit tiny county, if the funding is skewed, then of course it makes us look very expensive, and that's actually unfair because it is a very well-run council for which I think we should be grateful and appreciative.
I know you don't want to necessarily be drawn on your successor and who that might be, but as of yesterday there was a huge storm on social media about the possibility that Boris Johnson could leap from Uxbridge, where he hasn't got much majority, to 23,000 majority that you've got here and become the next Rutland and Melton MP. Can you give us any thoughts about that?
Yeah, if you were broadcasting from Norfolk, you'd be reporting the same rumour. Boris will fight in Uxbridge, but what is happening here is something people need to appreciate. This is deliberate disinformation put out on social media in order to create a reputation and discredit someone. And this is what we're up against in politics now. So it goes around Twitter, and says, oh, Boris might come here there, Boris might do this. There is no foundation in it whatsoever. But, it's a bit like a chain letter or a Ponzi scheme. One person starts it, 4 more retweet it, then you get more and more, then 10 times 10 and ends up being 1 million, and it's complete rubbish. So I would say to all voters, beware of ill-informed disinformation. Have confidence in your own ability to work out what's right and what's wrong. And I remember Harold Macmillan, former Conservative Prime Minister, Chancellor of the University of Oxford, on my first day there said, never mind getting a first-class degree. All that Oxford need teach you is to know when someone is talking rot. So all of you, please have the confidence to work out what's true and what isn't.
And just finally, in your last few days in politics, are you tying up loose ends? Are the things which you thought I really must get round to and didn't?
I think I'll be doing that afterwards, like going to the theatre, reading a book, all that kind of thing. In my final days, my successor, I hope, will be a high-calibre person who will be rooted in the interests of the community and will be able to think for themselves and have confidence. That's what this constituency deserves. And in departing, I say, I will continue to live in Rutland. It's my home. A massive thanks to everybody in the constituency over 30 years, to my staff, to my local supporters, but to all those in the community who are, the familiar faces when I walk up Oakham High Street and who say hello. They'll be doing the Meals on Wheels, or they work in the local shop. I know who they are, and it's great that they are such lovely people. I'm going to miss Parliament, but I'm not going to miss Rutland because I'm still going to be here.
Alan Duncan, thank you very much for joining us on your final interview here at Rutland Radio.
Rutland Radio.
So here we are, Village Star Awards, award number 1. Village Shop. There were 3 in the category, and this one won by just 2%. Best Village Shop got 37.4% of the vote, and we had hundreds of votes in this whole competition. You got it.
Did we?
You got it. Yes, absolutely you got it. You certainly did.
Exciting.
Yeah, Edith Weston, Collie Weston, and the Village Stores and Post Office at Ryle. There it is.
It can go with last year's.
With last year's best shop for the 2nd year running.
Yeah.
Not only that, we've had so many lovely things written about what you do here. These are just 2 randomly picked from the hundreds that we had. Helen and her staff are so friendly and helpful, nothing's too much trouble for them. The shop itself is always well stocked. I've always been able to get everything I need, even down to bicarbonate of soda and, one occasion, dried porcini mushrooms. Being able to withdraw cash and use the post office counter whenever the shop is open is a real bonus. Because of the friendly atmosphere in the shop, a visit to buy something often turns into a chance to have a friendly chat to someone else and learn about what's going on in the village.
That's about right, yeah.
When we moved to Edith Weston almost a year ago, we were made to feel welcome by Andy and Helen who run the village shop. It's become our regular source of info. It's well stocked with fabulous Rutland sourced products from Hambleton Bakery and Two Chimps Coffee. Has a post office, a weekend croissant is to die for. It's now even better now they've opened a small coffee cabin. It's also valuable. We simply don't know what we'd do without it.
Oh, it's so lovely, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because I guess it's hard work. It's long hours.
Yeah, it is definitely, but it's definitely worth it. I don't ever not want to come in the morning, even on my day off.
And the friendly staff that you have here?
They're amazing, my staff. I couldn't do it without them.
Well done on winning the Village Star Award for Best Village Shop.
Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
The winner of the Rutland Radio Village Star Award for the best annual event was the Uffington Scarecrow Festival.
Wow,
so
fantastic.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
And Jo, you've only just literally come into this.
Yes, I'm a bit of a newcomer to this, but I helped out last year and I was amazed actually by the amount of dedication and commitment from all the volunteers and all the villagers and all the scarecrow makers. It's a brilliant event to organise.
And Vanessa, you've been involved in a few of the Scarecrow festivals.
Probably the last 6, because I've only lived here 6 years. I'm really taken up the reins from David and Gail, who've been doing Scarecrow since the year dot, and since it was the May Fair. Well, before the year dot, according to David. And it has grown. We've had some fantastic sponsorship as well. And all the money that we get from Scarecrows, we split between the village, and it's reinvested back into that community. Such as we've just had the ceiling painted of the village hall that we're standing in now. The school's upgraded its sports facilities, and so has the cricket club. Furniture we've had a new boiler, and we wouldn't have been able to do any of that without Scarecrows and the rest of the village supporting us. And it's fun. It's hard work, but good fun.
And about how long ago do you think that all started?
Scarecrows is, 15 years?
Yeah, and 10 years before that.
At least,
So,
yes.
Middle 1990s. And we thought there was too much money going out of the village in some ways with the May Day market, because it was all stallholders coming in. They paid so much for the site but took all the profits. So we did various adjustments and ended up with Scarecrows, which finished a lot of the outside people coming in to have stalls, and a few keep coming. And we're running games and all that sort of thing, and market stalls and that sort of thing. They all get trading using one of our grain stores and various stalls in the field and that sort of thing. And that's the way it's all together.
Best annual event on the Rutland Radio Village Star Awards for this year is the Uffington Scarecrow Festival, so we're delighted to present you with that.
Rutland Radio.
My name's Tim. I've been a befriender for the Evergreen Care Trust, which is where we are at the moment, for about 2 years. I have 2 befriendees, a 94-year-old gentleman who I look after in Bourne. He's super. He's an example to us all. Great sense of humour. He's always joking with me. We talk about everything from the weather to what's on at the news. And I visit him in his own home because sadly he can't get out. I have another gentleman as well. He's in his 60s. I meet him in Bourne and we go for walk and coffee. Usually the coffee first, chew the fat so to speak. And then we go around Bourne, usually in the park or somewhere for a walk, depending on the weather. And it's great to work with these people, and it's good for me too. It helps brighten someone's day and it helps brighten my day, and we really have a good time.
And what was it that actually made you want to explore being a befriender in the first place?
It was something I thought I could do, just to go out and to meet people and talk about everyday things, everyday life, everything from someone's family to what's happening in the news and the weather, and the fact that you can make a difference to someone's life. And, that's a great boost to you as well. It's worth getting up in the morning thinking, yeah, I'm going to make a difference to someone's life today, even if it be in a small way. Really good, yeah.
How often and how long a commitment is this?
Well, it's for as long as the befriendee and the befriender want it to be. As I say, I've been doing it for 2 years. I meet once a month my 60-year-old gentleman, once every couple of weeks for my 94-year-old gentleman, and we're looking at the monthly one, maybe that making it fortnightly, but we'll see how that goes, and hopefully it'll get better. Yeah.
Speaking for the people you befriend, what do you think they get out of your visits?
Well, hopefully it's, if the weather's not too good and it's a Monday morning or whatever, you cheer them up a bit. Having said that, the 94-year-old gentleman sometimes even cheers me up. He's great, he's got such experience of life, great sense of humour. I generally go to meet him about 2 o'clock. If I'm a minute late, he'll say, no, we're not having this. you know, and then he'll look at me and smile and say, you know, come on in, you know, it's all right. So, yeah, it brightens both our days, yeah.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
See, if you're as old as me, you'll remember this being the boot and shoe, but it's now back open as the boot in.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
How are we doing?
All right, thank you. How are you?
Not bad.
I'm Rob from Rutland Radio. Who's in charge?
Me.
Perfect.
We got it.
You got it.
Oh, happy days.
Tell us about the boot in then.
Well, we opened up beginning of August. Obviously, it's all been refurbed. We've made it a nice, comfortable place for the village to enjoy. Lots of people from around the area are coming to enjoy it. We've got food on. We've got a new pool table. Yeah, it's been really well received and everything's heading in the right direction. It's just been really good and really enjoyable to see people coming in and enjoy themselves. So, yeah, thank you to Rutland Radio and to everyone that voted for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's all numbers of votes,
Yes.
and there were 3 in there, and you were the clear winner.
Wow.
I know. So have you done any of this before then, pubs?
No, first time.
This is literally like, what, 3-4 months?
Yeah, so we're obviously doing something right, so we'll continue to do so. So yeah, no, just thank you to everyone that's voted for us. So, good result.
So do you remember it as the boot and shoe? Because I remember it for years like that.
Yes, well, I live in the village, I live just over the way there, so we know it from old. And then obviously once we heard that it was going to be going up for obviously new people to take over, we just sort of had a go and sort of said, yeah, we'll have some of that.
Yeah.
It was a long journey to get to the point of taking over the pub, but we got there, and then since then we're just trying to get it sorted for everyone to enjoy. But like I say, if it's all heading in the right direction, everyone's happy, and so we can just continue to do what we're doing.
It looks fab, it really does.
Yeah,
Oh, well done.
It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of hours spent, a lot of evenings lost, a lot of weekends lost, but it's all been worth it because the hard work's paid off, and you know, as you see now, it's a nice place to be, and so people are enjoying it. So.
And what's your name?
Mark.
Wow, I think we need to show this to some people in here. I guess there might be some people who voted here. They won. We won.
Yes,
I know.
cheers.
Absolutely. So there you go.
You've done a brilliant job.
Rutland Radio.
My name's Nick Rubins and I'm the CEO of the QD Group.
Now, we know the store at Alton Peterborough. How many do you have?
We have 48 stores in total and 27 of those are QDs.
How did Oakham come about?
Well, I only live in Leicestershire, the other side of Melton, so I know Oakham is a lovely market town and it was a key target town for us. And when we started speaking to Fords of Oakham and they were interested in selling and going on to do other things, then immediately it was a store that we could really see a QD in.
And what do you think it'll bring to the town that Oakham doesn't have already? I mean, we don't have an awful lot of chain stores apart from anything else.
Well, we're not a pound shop. That's very important. So we're all about value and quality. We've got a brand new range of home textiles and duvets and sheets and pillows where, you know, it's Dunelm and next quality, but 30-50% cheaper. And that's just sort of one category. And we're very passionate about the quality of our products. And as I say, you know, it's all about value guaranteed.
And as far as the way the country is, the economy, we're seeing national chains have a really, really tough time. Is this a good time actually to be launching a new store?
It's tough. You've got to be aware of your trading conditions, but we're very confident in what we do. Our customers love us. We've got over 150,000 reward card holders now, and we're very passionate about what we do. And I think if you move forward every day and you look after your customers, then that's the key to surviving these days.
Nick, good luck with the new store in Oakham. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you ever so much.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Second place in this was 0.5% behind. That's how close it was. Just over 32% of the vote for Best Village Hall went to Uffington. 2 out of the 5 awards has gone to this village.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's all thanks to Vanessa.
She's
If
worked very hard.
it hadn't been for Vanessa the last 5 years, I think this would have closed down. So, well done, Vanessa.
That's really, really
So,
amazing. Oh, thank
Best
you.
Village Hall or Community
And well
Centre.
organised, Rutland Radio, and it wasn't an easy task, was it? You've got so much choice.
There really was.
This
It was
area.
down to a final 4. It was all due to people's votes.
Yeah.
And, as I say, 0.5% ahead.
Wow. Who's second?
Braunston.
See, Nick, Rutland Morris, if you hadn't danced there, we would have won by a whole point.
Yes.
Oh,
So
thanks
there you go,
then
and the
for
Braunston
finding a
Mayfair
good
also
spot.
figured quite highly as well.
Yeah, I shall have to go one day.
Yeah,
It's
I
always on
know.
the same-
I know it's always on the same days
days
as what you do,
as
but
Scarecrows. And next year, Scarecrows is on a different day with VE Day. It's on the 2nd and 3rd of May, which is a Saturday and Sunday, and VE
Right.
Day will be the 8th to the 10th.
well, do you want to know something? Braunston have actually put their event on the Friday. So if you've got time, you can go and visit what Braunston do.
Rutland Radio.
We've got 11 pilots that are flying around the world on an epic fundraising event. It's called Team World Flight, and Team JetSim have chosen Anna's Hope as their charity to represent, so it's absolutely fantastic. So not only is Anna's Hope helping people here and now on the ground, they're actually being spread across the world as well, so our awareness is going right across the world. It's been a fantastic week. They started last Saturday at 9 o'clock, and we flew from Australia to New Zealand, which was great on the first leg, and they've been to various places since, some that I can only dream of.
My name's Simon Lummis. I'm one of the pilots, and I also do maintenance and support JetSim, the business, and I also one of the team members on Team JetSim, which is the charity.
Say if you were a light aircraft pilot and you wanted to see what it would be like to fly a commercial jet, that would be the kind of thing that people would do here?
Yes, a whole range. Everything from flight simulator, people who want to have a go and have been flying a desktop and wonder what it would be like to fly the real aircraft. There isn't any motion on it, but other than that, I can guarantee after about 10 minutes on the flight deck and you're flying in to do an approach, you believe you are in the aircraft flying it. Light aircraft pilots, JetSim School does training for commercial pilots. We do interview preparation. Commercial pilots who are going for an interview want to do some interview preparation. We have commercial pilots who will come and train them, and people who are familiar with doing that activity for airlines and for airline crew to come and get better. And then we teach, we do everything from corporate days, fear of flying courses. 2 guys came down and they wanted to do this. They were put in the cockpit and they were given a radio headset and the plane's in the cruise, and then it was like, okay, can you land it? So they had to talk on the radio and ask how to fly the plane and see if they could get down.
I'm Richard.
How long have you been on the flight deck today?
I was here about 10 o'clock this morning. This is my second flight today.
And you've been doing most of the week here for Team JetSim?
Yeah, I think when I finish later this evening, I'll have done 16 flights, all of varying lengths. I'm a recently retired police officer. I did 30 years service in the police. I'm not a real-life pilot. I would have loved to have been if I had the time again, but I'm not.
It's pretty close, isn't it, actually sitting here at this cockpit here?
I can't tell the difference. You know, this is fantastic. As you know, the cockpit is an exact replica of a Boeing 737. If you got in a real one, it would be no different to this. There's 503 different dials, switches, buttons, levers in this cockpit, and they all do something.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
And accepting the award on behalf of the village, she had no idea until literally we produced the frame and the certificate was Glenys Southern. You do such a lot for the village.
I certainly do. I'm a parish councillor, I'm chairman of the White Bread Trust, I'm a school governor, I'm a trustee at the Ketton Sports Club, and with all of that, I'm absolutely thrilled that Ketton has got this award, because it is an absolutely brilliant village to live in. We're relative newcomers. We've only been here 15 years, but we've absolutely loved being in the village.
And Joyce, you were born and bred in this village.
I was.
In the shadows of the cement works.
I was a long while ago. My grandfather worked there, my dad worked there, and so did John work there.
And what does Ketton mean to you? I mean, you must have seen, obviously, it expand, but has it still got the same spirit that it always had?
I think so. The only thing is, I don't know everybody in the village now. Years ago, I could name everybody in the village, literally. I used to do the Sunday papers with my mother-in-law, and we used to go around, and the kids went with me, and you knew everybody. But it's expanded that much. But it's a good village, isn't it, Glenys? Very good village.
Is it a village that people choose to move to? I do hear that sometimes.
I think so. There must be a lot of people move there, really. Being I don't know them all.
Well, I get what you're saying, yes. And you, of course, are an award winner. Front page of the paper this week for the Rural Community Council.
Yes. And
what was it that you actually won?
I won the Unsung Hero Award for the Leicestershire and Rutland Achievements Awards. Very, very good evening. absolutely well put on. Really
And that,
was.
I know you. How many years have I known you being connected with
A
here?
long while, haven't you, Rob?
Exactly. So you've done a lot to help the village.
Yes. I did the guides, for 22 years. I've been here, I think, over 25 years, but I'm not actually working here now, but I do help. Do the sandwiches for all the thinking sports and everything else, and the cricket teas, and I do what I can. I can't do everything because I've got this complaint, but I do what I can.
But you're still very much part of it.
I am, and I want to be, because it keeps you going, especially when you've been left and you're on your own. It's a thing that helps me along the way.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
So we're here at the launch of the Rutland Jigsaw Festival, which isn't actually until Easter next year. And we're here well before Christmas with Joyce Lucas, who created the Jigsaw Festival, back for another year, still with a great deal of support from Gibson's. And you had people from all over taking part last year.
Yes, we did. It originally was to be an Oakham Jigsaw Festival, but there were so many villages wanted to take part that we opened it up to the whole of the county. And it's going really well this year. I know it's early to launch, but it's cold, it's miserable, dark nights. This is when you do your jigsaws. We have already, in our hall, got nearly 70 jigsaws completed, and we're aiming for 300 this year. And it will be held over the Easter weekend 2020 in the ballroom of the Victoria Hall. We've had to find bigger premises than last year, so it's all happening again.
So you're going upstairs, basically?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I'm looking, we've got a dissectologist, that's a gentleman who makes jigsaws, and he's going to demonstrate each day how he makes his jigsaws. So it'll be quite an interesting weekend.
So this is the Easter weekend, right from Good Friday to the Monday?
No, Good Friday is preview night for invited guests. It'll be open 10 till 4, Saturday, Easter Saturday, Sunday and Easter Monday, and then we all go home and have a rest.
Now, tell us, as far as Rutland, who took part. Let's congratulate the high achievers.
Last year we had Oakham, Uppingham, Seaton, Wissendine, Langham, Market Overton, Burley and Thistleton. And out of the county we had Stamford, Pickwell, South Witham, Nossington, Old Dalby and Earl Shilton. This week I've just received from one person in Langham 10 completed jigsaws.
So this is still quite a big thing. You kind of never imagined it wasn't a big thing, though, did you?
Well, I did. The reason why I started it was my friend down in Hampshire came back from church. I said, "You're a bit breathless." And she said, "Yes, I've just taken my jigsaw to church." And I thought that was odd. So I asked her about it. We have started it. I never imagined it was going to be as big as it is.
So is this still raising money for Oakham and Bloom?
Oh yes, absolutely. And we've visited other jigsaw festivals since. Newmarket had 1,000 on show. That was some going in a church. But this time we're aiming for 300 and just see how it goes.
Rutland Radio.
My name is Terry Walters. I offered last year to cut a puzzle for the puzzle event. That was to be sold at raffle. In fact, it was. It made a fair bit of money. I hope to do another one this year, obviously. Still looking for an image, one that really attracts me.
So, dissectologist, that's basically you create the jigsaw by cutting out all the pieces?
Yes, dissectologist, we use a scroll saw, mounting the print onto some plywood, and then cut out the the jigsaw from that piece of plywood. Sometimes it can be push fit, sometimes it can be interlocking, and we do something called line cutting, which means you cut around the image so it makes it more difficult to find out exactly where it goes. We have quite a few members in our club who prefer to have no image at all. They like to work from the jigsaw as it comes out of the box, not knowing what it was. In fact, I had one person that I gave a puzzle to, and she worked on it for quite some time, realised that she was working on it upside down. I wonder why she couldn't progress too quickly.
And what's your impression of this festival now into its second year?
I think it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. There's a lot of them around the country now, and it's surprising how much interest there is in jigsaw puzzles. We're coming to the winter months when obviously it's a great thing to do. I noticed when I went up to Scotland on Britannia there, the Queen always used to have a jigsaw puzzle in the lounge on the go. So, in fact, our chairman, he runs a puzzle library, and the Queen actually does take puzzles out of that library. Usually when she's up in Balmoral, I think.
So that's the kind of Christmas kind of activity, perhaps, maybe?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And some of the old puzzles are absolutely brilliant. Frustrating sometimes because you find pieces missing. And in fact, our chairman was saying he bought a large consignment of puzzles from somebody, and having done the first couple, he realised there were pieces missing. But having then done the next 3 or 4, you realise that some of the pieces from the first one were in the third pack, and so on and so forth. So he's now got to do all like 50 to find out whether they're all complete.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
It's Chris Morton, Chairman, Oakham in Bloom.
And before we go any further, you're not standing for election on the 12th of December. I have to ask everyone.
Not this year.
No.
No.
So, obviously, you've kind of had your busy period, people would think, but you've still got an awful lot to do. And what have you been up to recently?
Right. Recently, we've planted probably 1,000 of the 4,000 donated crocuses from the Rotary, which signifies their aim to abolish polio worldwide. And we had a nice planting day outside the library where the High Sheriff came along to turn a sod. That's a piece of turf, and we put a lot in there, 1,000 or more, and the rest of them will go around one of the islands around on the bypass. So it's quite significant, and everybody that passes through or past Oakham will actually register with them that we are supporting the eradication of polio worldwide. We do a lot of deadheading this time of the year because a lot of plants, they've had enough and they want to go to bed, and they do well, and so that's always good. And
you've also been working a lot in the museum garden.
Oh, absolutely, yes. The Friends of the Museum very kindly are supporting us in backing our campaign to revamp the museum garden, because it really hasn't had a big makeover since the time when it was initially erected. And things get too big, and it's only a small area, and the weeds difficult to control in some instances, and so we've taken a few trees out. The bamboos, they tend to grow underground sideways, and so it's forever wanting to take over totally, and so we've chopped those down, and that's ongoing. We need somebody with a big strong spade, and that'll be a more of an organised event, a better organised event for that one because of the heavy work, so the ladies won't be involved, and it's looking better for what we've done already, really is, and so we're very pleased with the way things are going.
And in terms of volunteers, are you looking for more people to help Oakham in Bloom?
We're always looking for volunteers for Oakham in Bloom, especially people that have got, well, initiative, IT skills, or any specific skills that we can utilise. But essentially it's keenness. You don't have to know anything about gardening, because there are enough of us put you in the right direction. If you can put your hand on a spade or a hoe, a garden fork, a trowel even, it all goes to help in whatever jobs come up. And if you haven't got anything like that, plenty of us have, me included. I've got a plumber's basket that's full of garden forks or hand forks, trowels, and useful little items to help, especially getting dandelions out.
And do you still have your regular working parties through the winter as well?
We do have regular working parties, but not so regular, because we have to be very careful, well, not careful so much, but we have to keep an eye on the weather. Because on a day like today, which has been horrendous this morning, it would be far too wet to even contemplate it. So we choose the right time, the right weather conditions, and frosty ground's no good anyway, because when it's frozen solid, there's not a lot you can do except deadhead, and that should have been done anyway. So generally speaking, it's a cut-off time, really, an easing off time, winter, ready for up and away in spring and for the big planting. And hopefully we'll gain those extra 2 points to get the gold. 2 points short.
Is that all you needed?
That's all we needed last
From
year.
the silver gilt to the gold?
That's right, that's right. You'd have thought they'd bent a little on the but no, it wasn't to be, so so it just makes us... But we were higher than the year before. We still got silver gilt the year before, but we gained on the points, but just not quite enough. And I think that the problem there was probably we planted all the islands up this year, and they hadn't had time to flower when the judges came. Now, if they'd have been in flower, we'd have gained the extra points. But hey, that's the way she goes. Sometimes we can't work on the islands because RCC say they do some work nearby or might be involved with it, and so we have to stand back a bit. And we thought they were going to do some work on one of the islands, and so it made us late putting the plants in. But there are flower beds, but they were really spectacular. We've had a lot of comments this year how nice they've all looked.
Yeah, the showground roundabout, Stamford
right.
Road, Burley Parkway.
That's it.
All those.
Yeah, always looks nice, and so we hope to be even better and certainly higher up the scoreboard next year. But we can't do it without the goodness of the volunteers, the bloomers. I call them the bloomers. I'm like a chief bloomer, if you like. But if I send anybody an email, it's Blooming Chris, and they know exactly who that is straight away.
Rutland Radio.
My name is Annette Chauveau, and I'm the head of German in the endowed schools.
My name is Joe Youngs, and I'm a teacher of German at the endowed schools.
My name is Ulrich Drescher. I'm the head of Ernst Kalkuhl Gymnasium from Bonn.
My name is Ernst Martin Hill. I'm the great-grandson of the founder of the Ernst Kalkuhl Gymnasium in Bonn.
My name is Nicholas Hill. I'm the great-great-grandson of the founder of the Ernst Kalkuhl Gymnasium, and I'm also in the boarding school management.
So, how did this partnership come about in the first place?
That's a very good question. I think you would know more about that.
It was a pupil from here from Stamford School who came to Bonn, to our school, and he has been there for 1 year, I think, and he was called Baines or something like this. And then, yes, they built up some connections, and the next year my father, he was English teacher, he began with the exchange. And there was Mr. Chu from Stamford, and they both did it for several years. And yes, many generations have been there. Me too. I was 15 when I came over here, and I lived with the family Potter near Uppingham, and the first day we were hare hunting. I was very astonished doing this. Yes, and now I'm here the third time, 14 years Stamford Kalkuhl. 50 years and now 60 years. And yes, and that's the thing. And we hope that this tradition will go on farther, and so we will do everything. And our teachers, they do everything to maintain it and to develop it. Yes.
And tell us about your schools. Are they quite similar?
I don't think we are not separated in girl and boys school. We are mixed up, and we have about 640 pupils, and some of them 80 are boarding. So it's a quite different program.
And what about schooling in Germany? From what age to what age does it happen?
Okay, it's a gymnasium. They start with the age of 10, and they leave us when they're lucky with 17 years, when not with 18 years.
And then that's where university happens, or?
Yes, they can continue their education at the university.
So what's your impression of Stamford? This is your first time here?
No, it's already my second time. I was here also, like my father, in 2004 with a family called Yates, and I was also participating in the exchange, and it was a really nice impression I had. I also remember coming here for the first time to Burley House, and the clearest picture I have from the kitchen. It was kind of printing into my memory, and also from Stamford. It's a very nice city. I got to know some other cities, but Stamford is very nice because you have many sightseeing opportunities around here, and which is also kind of motivating younger generation coming here to see the Burley House, to go to Warwick Castle. It's not far to London, so it's a very interesting program for German students coming here.
And from an exchange point of view, what kind of activities have you laid on this week? We're here almost towards the end of the programme.
Yes, well, in fact, the German students tend to do their outings normally on their own. But because it's an anniversary, we decided to do something together for the students and decided to come to Burley because no visit to Stamford is complete without a visit to Burley, we think. And we've just discussed that when we come over to Germany next time, we also want to do something together with the students because it is just nice for them to spend time.
And one must say, the students tell us that the highlight is definitely the weekend with the parents and the families and their this whole what it's like to be in an English family. So on a Monday morning, they're all very excited and they all had a great weekend. So that's, I guess, the best thing to be with the families.
Matthias.
Zara. Leah.
Sinan. David.
So this is almost the end of your week in Stamford. What was your impression when you stepped off the coach?
Well, it was a good first impression. Stamford all seemed like the typical picture a German would have of a nice small British town.
It's great to see different cultures, and especially local cultures, Georgian buildings in Stamford and in Cambridge as well.
And have you actually made any true English meals for your German visitors?
We definitely had a traditional roast, pot stews and those sorts of things. Yeah, and she quite enjoyed them.
Have you actually been over to Germany yet and actually done the return leg?
Yeah, I went last year. I had a different exchange student, but it was with the same school. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice exploring like different family life. It's really different.
And Bonn actually is quite a big place compared to Stamford. I mean, it must be massively different.
Yeah, it is really different. It was really beautiful as well, like exploring. And also into Cologne. We went on the Cologne Dom. It was tall. Yeah.
So you've all literally been doing different things all week?
Yeah, pretty much. And then tonight there's a charity rock concert at school. Most of us are going to that, so yeah, that should be fun.
And do you think actually culturally it's quite similar?
I guess, I mean, in the sense that we're sort of European and so are they.
Has anyone talked to you about what's happening with us in Europe at the moment? We talk about it all the time over here.
Well, it hasn't been that big of a topic yet. They also are concerned, I guess.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
What makes you proud to be from this area? That's what we're asking you this morning. Al Needham is from the BBC's Inside Out. They're filming a piece in Rutland over the next couple of days. They may well be talking to you, and we'd love to hear from you this morning as well on what makes Rutland so special, and Stamford for that matter, but mainly it's all about Rutland, their film. Andy from Oakham said, for me, it's kind of like Little England. It's a desirable place to live. He said, when actually you tell people from elsewhere in the country you're from Oakham, they go, that's posh. Is it all about being posh? I don't know. But Jackie said, if you look out this morning at the clear blue sky, the mist over Rutland Water, the sun rising, just such a beautiful place.
Yeah, it was really nice to drive in from Notts this morning.
Yeah, Andy said, as someone who grew up in Leicester and now lives in Oakham,
yeah.
He said, is that a Nottingham accent I hear?
Yeah, stuck here.
Yeah, indeed. This is Al Needham who's presenting this this segment of Inside Out that's from Rutland, and we're asking people, as I say, what makes them proud to be part of this area. Now, Cornelius from Uppingham said, I've lived in town since December 2004. Absolutely love it. I would not want to live anywhere else. It's the jewel of Middle England. Our Cotswolds without being overrun by tourists. Open, friendly and very picturesque. Joe said, stone buildings, Rutland water, the way we all keep coming back must count for something. My partner said it's like stepping back in time with how people know each other and look after our heritage. And Karen said it's a beautiful place to live. No McDonald's or KFC. Everyone's friendly.
Yeah. People said good morning to me while I was walking up and down. That shocked me.
Really?
I was frightened.
No, well, it's nice.
Not
though.
used to it.
It's a real sense of community here, actually, in our towns and our villages. People love the Rutland badge, and they do wear it with pride. This is absolutely true.
Right.
And your programme. So you're going out from here. You're going to be filming at different parts of the area as well.
Yeah, going to have a nose around today and tomorrow. Talking to a lot of people who are pro and anti. I mean, the hook is the McDonald's thing, but it's an opportunity for me to find out something that's practically on my doorstep that I know very little about. I only know about the Ruckles and Rutland Weekend Television, and that was, over 40 years ago? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm here to educate myself.
And actually, you'd like people to tell you something about Rutland that you didn't know already.
Yeah.
Something, unique that maybe not a lot of people know.
Definitely, yeah, that's what I'm here for.
01572 755 888 if you'd like to get in touch, or on our social media.
Rutland Radio.
We're asking you why you're proud to be part of this area, what makes it tick, and also something that you wouldn't necessarily know coming from Rutland. We were talking about the horseshoes and how they're hung upside down in Oakham Castle. Louis said it's all to do with the fact the horseshoes are upside down due to releasing the devil, preventing the devil from building a nest in the horseshoes. And so far, you'd think actually horseshoes upside down, bad luck. But no, quite the reverse.
Keeps the devil out of them. That's good.
Indeed. This is Al Needham from Inside Out. They're filming in Rutland over the next couple of days. You'll be able to watch the feature on Rutland in the new year. Jeremy Clarkson is with you.
Yes, he is, yes. Well, a two-dimensional Jeremy Clarkson.
You've brought a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, I've got to go around walking about with him. So if you do see some bold bloke walking about with a cardboard cutout of Jeremy Clarkson, that'll be me.
The reason Jeremy Clarkson's embroiled in this is because he wrote this article saying that Rutland would do well to have a certain fast food eatery, which is what we've sort of been talking about.
It makes no sense whatsoever. He's basically saying if there's a McDonald's here, then you'll be like Rhode Island in the 18th century, getting rid of the British Crown. Makes no sense. It's rubbish.
That was
just clonked him one.
He was having a knock from Al. But what should we do with Jeremy Clarkson in Oakham today?
I'm not taking him home with me. I want to hear what we should do with a cardboard cutout of Jeremy Clarkson.
Should we leave him in the stocks at the Buttercross?
Ooh. Good idea.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? And also, Andy said, do visit Geoffrey Hudson's cottage. It's just down Oakham High Street. It's where the smallest man grew up. There is a blue plaque on there as well.
How tall was he?
I think he was 4'6".
Oh, I think I tripped over his house when I was walking to the radio station this morning.
Well, he actually... there's the book apparently called Book of the Dead by John Lloyd that Andy said. Right. And Geoffrey Hudson worked for the Queen and also was partnered with a bloke who was 7'6".
Right.
And he used to pull out a loaf of bread out of one pocket and Geoffrey Hudson out of the other, apparently.
Right. What, make a sandwich out of him or something?
Yeah, make a sandwich out of Geoffrey Hudson.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
PC 1312, Joe Lloyd, beat officer for Oakham and Barleythorpe.
So we're here at Oakham bus station. The plan is to actually, the waiting area to close a little bit earlier, just as a temporary measure. Why is that?
My understanding for that is obviously through the council. They've had some ASB within the bus station. Generally, when it gets darker, the bus station's open until 7. Obviously, it gets darker a lot earlier in the winter. We've had some young people that have been in the bus station causing ASB, intimidating some of, I would say, vulnerable or older people that will actually want to use the bus stop for what its purpose is. So I think that's not a police decision, that's a decision made by the council. but we will be supporting them with other activities.
And actually, I'm just thinking of where the buses work here. There's no need for it to really be open past that. No one's going to be waiting for anything here, probably past 6.
Well, I think the final bus is around about 7 o'clock, and then it does actually close at 7. So hopefully, with the council doing what they are going to do, this will, show the young people that it's not open and they're not really welcome to here. Of course they're welcome here if they want to get a bus. They're like anybody else. But I think importantly, if you're not here to get a bus, there's no reason to be in here. And obviously you might have just seen, I'm speaking to someone a minute ago who's in there, he's not getting a bus, but he's actually homeless, so I'm just having a chat with him about what we can do to help him.
So, something that you've said before on the radio is that teenagers, for instance, hang around here because there's free Wi-Fi. Does that mean that that's actually going to be cut off earlier as well?
Well, actually, the free Wi-Fi was cut off some time ago, and I think, and rightly so, because that was a real draw. They can charge their phones, etc. in here. It's free electricity, I suppose, for them. But ultimately, it's about them. Their perception is not having anywhere to go, and so that's why they come in here. And this is a group of young people that don't want to engage in a lot of other services, but it's still trying and not giving up on them. To keep working to try and get them diverted into other areas. So certainly with the community safety team, the council, and the police will continue to do that.
And not accusing anyone of anything, but you can totally understand the draw of this building.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some nice, comfortable seating. It's a dry area. It's easy to get in and out of, and it's also away from what you might think. Maybe it's hidden away from prying eyes.
Yeah, I understand that, absolutely. And I think, interestingly, it's not away from prying eyes because there's CCTV in this building, and actually it's really good quality. It's helped us identify a group of young people that I, along with the community safety team member this afternoon, are going to go and visit and look at what we call the incremental approach on ASB behaviour. So, yeah, it's not that hidden. And also it's part of our patrol strategy as the police. Nicole, the police community support officer, and we have a new police community support officer joining us, I think next week. Certainly be on those patrol plans, as it always will be, because it has always been, an issue. But there's a big screen in there and you can see your own face, as you come in and out. So you'd like to think that they might, understand that they can't get away with doing stuff in there.
So this temporary measure, I know you're not the only person involved, but what sort of period do you imagine actually this will continue for, this early closing?
To be honest, I don't know. That's not something. So, like I did say, we're absolutely supporting the council in things that they do, but this isn't a decision that we've sort of made. That will be a decision for the council, and I think rightly so, for them to have a period of time to determine whether or not it does stop problems. It will obviously stop the problems between the two times that they're going to have it closed. But yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how long it'll take. But I mean, as far as the policing element's concerned, we will put in our patrol strategy. We normally do those for 3 months, but we'll have it as an ongoing thing, certainly through the winter months, like we do the park and the skate park in the summer months.
And you mentioned actually this is possibly a group of young people who don't want to engage in what's currently on. Maybe, not being a teenager myself, I don't necessarily know what they do get up to in terms of clubs and stuff like that. I think of cadets. The youth provision doesn't seem as much as it used to be, but it's still there. Yeah,
I think it is still there. Obviously, it's not as it used to be. There's Jules House Thursday after school. That's open, and they do some really good stuff there. And the youth workers work really hard to engage with the young people. But like you said, there are scouts. There are cadets, the RAF and the Army cadets. They have a lot of young people, involved already, and they want people to come in and join them. They are youth clubs. Just because it says the RAF or the Army, they are youth clubs. And these are opportunities for these young people if they want to get involved. But they've got to want to take that first step. Some of them have tried it, didn't like it, but they can always go back. Those opportunities are there for them all.
Rutland Radio.
So how many years for the calendar so far, do you think?
I've been involved for 4 or 5, and we're on the second year where I'm supposedly organising things.
You've already passed what you got last year and you haven't finished yet.
No, we've got another week to go. We have hit 800. We've got to hit 1,035 to fulfil everything I've promised. And if we do go over that, I have got other people wanting some.
And what's the purpose of this?
The idea behind it is to reach out to people on a community that are either on their own or suffering a bit of hardship, which can happen to any of us, and just say that someone does care, and hopefully that advent calendar gives 24 smiles to someone.
If people are local to here, can you name some of the drop-offs? I know there's tons of them, aren't there?
There are a lot, and anyone that's on my Here to Help Others Facebook page, they've all been a huge support as per usual. Local stores, Nelson's Butcher's Shop, which is based in Stamford, Oakham and Uppingham. They're a collection point. St John Ambulance will be at the Christmas market on Sunday. They will be at the top of Broad Street and Imanger Street, so you can pop them into them on the Christmas festival day. And then we've got Cloud9 in Market Deeping, and it just seems to filter further and further out. All the details are on my Facebook page, Here to Help Others. We are continually saying where advent calendars have gone. Stamford Food Bank has already had theirs, as has Bourne, and some individuals I've been working with this year, they've had theirs as well.
It literally can be any advent calendar, anything you think, I think that would be nice to give to someone.
Definitely. We go from the smallest child to elderly. One gentleman told us a couple of years ago it was the first advent calendar in his 89 years young that he'd ever had. And last year he was asking, where's my advent calendar? So it is making a difference. And for the sake of from 75p, you know, the advent calendars go right up to astronomical amounts, but it just does make a real difference, to the point I forgot to buy my children's last year. We got a bit engrossed in it all.
And what's the absolute cut-off?
Well, as I say, we are starting to get advent calendars out because we do want them to be in position for the 1st of December. The absolute cut-off is going to be the 27th of November, which means I'm going to be rather busy. If we can try and get as many as we can for the 24th of November, that gives me a week to get them out and to find their home.
And how many places are they going to?
Again, a long list. The food banks we are supporting this year are Stamford, Bourne, Grantham, Sleaford is a new one for us, Corby Kettering, Uppingham, Oakham, Social Services for the Children in Care, Voluntary Action Rutland are taking some to their section. I think they've got Visions and they've got Kids in Care there. We're reaching out to a couple of residential schools for children that are in care. So we have got a lot of new things. Also Mindspace in Stamford, we're going to visit them, and Evergreen will be a huge one we donate to.
And how does it feel for you when you actually, you know, you've kind of done another project like this?
It's a bit of a blessed relief to get my house back because, as you can imagine, my porch, the hallway, everything is full of advent calendars.
And you can't have the heating on too high either,
No,
can you?
I have been worrying about that, so strategically placing them. But we'll just move on to the next thing, whether it is helping someone get their new home set up or the homeless. We will be out Christmas Eve with the children, seeing the homeless, and I think it's just important that the children do realise how lucky, and on Christmas Day we'll be popping into second helpings, say hello to those guys and hopefully get some Christmas gifts to them.
Repairs, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. You do incredible things, you really do. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's a big team effort. Everyone says, oh, you do amazing, but actually if the supporters weren't on my Facebook page and we didn't get the donations, there's no money transactions whatsoever. If we didn't get the donations, we couldn't do it.
Highlights from the past 7 days. The Rutland Radio Podcast.
Jack, John T, Abby,
Josh,
Evelyn, Isla, Laurie,
Olivia.
This year's Stamford Santa Fun run the 8th of December. What do you know about it?
Well, we're going to be singing there and we're going to be handing out medals and helping out there, and it's going to be really fun.
Anyone know how long it is?
It's a 5k run.
Which is, I know, 3 laps of their course like they normally do. Who can tell us about the various charities there are?
Sue Ryder Thought Pool, Stamford Food Bank, Stamford Mindspace and Anna's Hope.
So who's organising it?
The Rotary Club of Stamford Burley.
What date's it on?
Sunday the 8th of December 2019 at 11:30.
And what time do people start arriving? Anyone know? Because I guess you must know what time you're going to be arriving for it.
The performers are arriving at 9 o'clock and we're going to be getting everything organised. We're going to be preparing the medals, we're going to be doing some warm-ups, singing, and we're going to be getting ready the mince pies and some mulled wine.
So where can everyone find out the information?
StamfordSantaFunRun.com.
Anyone know how much it is to enter?
It is £14 for adults and £7 for children aged 4 to 12, and under 4s go free.
And there's a new sponsor this year, isn't there?
Yeah, BGL is a sponsor of the Stamford Santa Fun Run this year.
And Cash, you're doing loads of videos as well to promote it this year.
We are. The Wildcat students did a big video up at Burley House, and I know the Stamford Striders did a video, and they did that over at Borderville, giving people loads of tips and hints about how to prepare for the run. And coming up in the next few days, you will also see the Stamford Welland Academy video, which we filmed today.
Rutland Radio.
Now, as we often mention at Rutland Radio, there are several Santa runs that happen around the area, from Stamford to the Vale of Belvoir to Melton to Oakham, which was brand new last year. The Rotary Club of Rutland have their Santa Fun Run on Saturday the 14th of December. Once again at Oakham Rugby Club. Richard Simmons from the club joins me this morning. It was very wet last year, wasn't it? But you still had a great turnout.
Indeed, Rob, yes. It wasn't the best of weathers, rain and mud and such like, but we still had 100 people turning out, which was very successful, I thought, for the first event.
And you're obviously hoping to build on that this year. So how can people get involved? Is there a way to register?
Yes, register through the website rutlandrotarysantafunrun.co.uk. All details are there. We will be having a stall on the late night shopping event on the 9th of December, and the Catmus Sports Centre. The reception there is also acting very kindly as a registration and Santa suit collection point as of now, actually, so you can go and register at the Vale of Catmus Sports Centre now. They have very kindly joined us this year as one of our main sponsors.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Hi, I'm Martine. I'm the director for College Players, and this year's production is Jekyll and Hyde the musical.
Is a musical quite a regular thing for the College Players?
Yeah, College Players are an amateur musical theatre group. We've been going for 50 years this year. We try to find musicals that are a little bit different, a little bit unusual, perhaps haven't been done by societies in the area.
And Jekyll and Hyde, as the nights are drawing in, this is kind of perfect, isn't it?
It is, yeah. One of the things that College Players are pretty well known for are war shows and Victorian shows, and Jekyll and Hyde fits into that perfectly. It's set in Victorian London in 1888. It is set in the autumn of that period and tells the story of Dr. Jekyll, whose father unfortunately ends up in an asylum due to madness, and he's determined to attempt to find a cure for that, and in doing so creates an alter ego in Mr. Hyde, and then has to see if he can find a cure for that as well to stop it happening. So we're all very aware that mental health is very much on the agenda on everybody's minds at the moment, and it's becoming less of a stigma and more of a talking point, and awareness really has been raised recently. So this year we're really pleased to say that we're working with the local charity Mindspace Stamford. Each year we do raise money for a local charity that has some sort of connection to the show, so it seemed a perfect choice for us.
So we're talking just on dress rehearsal night, just before the run opens. Everything looks fantastic, so are you pleased with it?
Yeah, really pleased with it. It's been quite a challenge. When we chose the show, people were quite astonished that we had chosen it. It really is one of those shows that has a huge amount of challenges involved with it, when you've got one actor playing two very distinct characters and you have to move between London streets and Victorian houses and brothels, and changing all of that scenery really quickly it can be quite challenging, especially for a small theatre group that doesn't have a massive budget.
And in terms of audience, it probably would be more adult, I guess. I mean, you're seeing people kind of wriggling and squirming a bit in certain scenes and stuff like that.
It is a show for all the family, although I think probably younger children perhaps wouldn't appreciate it. It's not in line with pantos or very light comedy. It is quite a dark story. I mean, it's a gothic musical, but it has some beautiful moments. It's got some real sort of tenderness. It is ultimately a love story too, and then really the fight between good and evil. So yeah, for all the family, but probably over 12s is best.
Great, Martine. Thanks very much for joining us. I hope everything goes as fantastically as the little bit I've seen. So it's 7:30 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and 2:30 matinee at the Arts Centre.
2:30 matinee. Friday night is almost sold out, so not many tickets left for that one. But get your tickets from the Arts Centre box office.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.